Okay, second video, back to back here. I always have said, people, this is what I've always said. Wherever I go, Uncle John's coming with me. Okay? In regards to fighting for my family. Clearly, we just did a video on ShaMay. That's still up for debate. Nothing is set in stone. There is no statute of limitation on murder. Alrighty-o. So, I had to do something with my bank and they wanted me to verify, blah. So I went into a different email that I've had since the beginning of me ever being on the internet, and when I founded the foundation. So I had somebody send me something, and I don't normally, it's like Facebook. I can go 2 years without opening up this particular email, right? But anyway, I had to open it up because of the bank, because I use this one for the bank, right? And this individual, my friend, sent me a class action lawsuit. You can see there, right? Adult Guardianship Act class action lawsuit. All right. This is where Uncle John comes in. Okay. Just as I'm going on with ShaMay and what happened to her. Because it's not all cut and dry, right, people? That's the whole point. Have you or someone you know been detained? Yeah, Mr. John Bernard Duncan. Under the Adult Guardianship Act in BC? No, they didn't use the Guardianship Act in BC because they knew that if they did that, people, any money from that inheritance would have went on lockdown. The organization that runs and operates the Guardianship Act for adults would have seized that money and it would have went to court and it would have been a big fucking rigmarole because they would have had to legally, by law, remove me as enduring power of attorney and power of attorney of Mr. John Duncan and his affairs. Okay? And you have to remember, Andre, turn that down. You have to remember, people, I had enduring power of attorney from the moment that fucking account was opened. Okay? For over 25 years. That's why they didn't take it to the Adult Guardianship Act. So anyway, I'm like, okay, that sounds interesting. That's up Uncle John's alley, right? If you or someone you know has been detained under the Adult Guardianship Act by any of the following British Columbian government agencies, we'd like to hear from you. Who's at the top of the fucking list? Where is it? Hold on a minute. Who's at the top of the list, people? Fraser Health Authority. Okay? And we're not just dealing with one. We're also dealing with Island Health Authority. Where is it? Where is it? Where's Island? Vancouver Island. There it is, right there. Victoria General Hospital. Okay? They took Uncle John from a temporary care ward that basically had been in the system, the healthcare system, for 40 days, 40 days, as they were sneaking around behind his back, sneaking around behind my back, illegally detaining him, illegally drugging him, as his sister put in for fucking transfer of mail, committing mail fraud so that she could get his banking information so she could call up the bank and then accuse me of abusing John even though they were detaining him illegally, and refused to allow him to get access to his medical files through me, with me sitting down reading them with him, to see what they were giving him outside of a calcium pill, because they kept saying they were just giving him a calcium pill, which was a bunch of fucking crock. No, they were giving him OxyContin or Oxycodone, and that's why they wanted him to eat all his lunch. Because you can't take those drugs unless you got a full freaking stomach. Okay? And conspired to load him up in a hammock after he was drugged, people. Passed, knocked right out. Stuffed him into some fucking van. Let him sleep on the ferry in the bowels of the ferry like a damn beast. got to the other side of the water, the ocean that is, John woke up, said, holy shit, you did it. I want to go back to Judy and the kids. Started freaking out, and what did she do? What did that bitch do, people? Eleanor Gilding, the senior manager to the provincial province of British Columbia, Canada, inoculation program for all the healthcare staff. Right across the province. What did she do? She drove off the ramp, beelined to Island Health Authority, Victoria General Hospital, ran in there with John, freaking out, having a nervous breakdown, practically had a freaking heart attack, and said, look how we found him! How do I know that, people? Because I got her daughter, Cheryl, on the phone telling ShaMay what happened, as Cheryl was denying access to John. Not only to ShaMay, but to Paul Evans, a legitimate lawyer who was trying to contact him. But he was medically kidnapped, and they had already drugged him up, and they kept him drugged. And that was confirmed with Cheryl going on about, well, all John does is sleep, 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 sleep. He just doesn't want to talk to you no more. Oh, he still loves you, ShaMay, but he just don't want to talk to you no more, because he's too busy fucking sleeping. Okay? Alright, that's up Uncle John's alley, people. Adult Guardianship Act says that all adults must be involved. They did not involve John in the process outside of open your mouth, take the pill, and shut up and go to sleep. Involved in decisions about the support and assistance they need whenever possible. The act is, I told you, these individuals that work for the government only use the act when it's for their benefit. Outside of that, they can commit any fucking crime. It doesn't matter if it's under the Criminal Code of Canada. It doesn't matter if it's a freaking legislation through the province, a rule, a fucking statute, rules or regulations or mandates. They will break them. Do you honestly think that Eleanor wanted to involve the Adult Guardianship Act in order to seize John's assets? Hell no, because she would not have been able to do what she did in partnership with the bank people. That's what this organization is meant to do, protect people from people like Eleanor. The whole system is corrupt. Anyway, the fight for Uncle John will never be fucking over. Even after I'm dead, we will still fight for Uncle John. He did not deserve what he got. No elderly person in any capacity, I don't care what their ethnic heritage is, whether they're male, whether they're female, whether they're fucking gays, I don't care. They don't deserve to be treated the way Uncle John was treated. Okay. He didn't die in vain. The act is designed to protect the independence of adults with disabilities. Right. That's why he couldn't speak to the lawyer that he requested to speak to. And he would have been willing to pay for it too, John, people. Okay, we would have paid for Paul. All right? To fucking hold back his sister, right? Whoa, yeah, but we didn't know. You see, that's the thing. We didn't know that she was sitting on a wad of cash that Joan had left her through some superannuation life insurance policy that they failed to tell John about until 14 months after the fucking fact of Eleanor being informed of it, and after the fact of him being illegally transferred to Victoria General Hospital under drugs, and then kept drugged so they could do their wheeling and dealing as they were accusing me of stealing John's money. Yeah, okay, cough up the fucking money, or at least cough up the fucking numbers so we know exactly how much you took from John. Because we already know you took his family away from him. And not only did you destroy his life, but you destroyed ShaMay's life. You destroyed Sierra's life. And you destroyed every other person's life in this family. And you will be held to account one way or another. But you see, the thing is, Eleanor Gilding's a fucking Catholic. So you know where she's going when she's done and dead. She's going to the fucking dungeon. Dungeon, people. That's where she belongs. In purgatory. In the dungeon. That you cursed yourself, Eleanor Gilding. John Duncan. Bernard John Duncan is hollering right back at you, you stupid bitch. And only allows involuntary measures as a last resort if an adult isn't able to make their own decision. The court has to approve the decisions made by other people, agencies on their behalf. They didn't want to take it there. What could they say? Judy ChorneyFamily is irresponsible even though she's been listed as enduring power of attorney for over 25 fucking years. Been holding down the fort. John was happy and healthy until he got the fucking flu and showed up at the fucking Surrey Memorial Hospital, and then all of a sudden became an invalid. An invalid through their drugs. Something that he hadn't been on for 20 fucking years. But they had to drug him up because they were going to steal his, $500,000 life insurance policy that he inherited from his wife? A $1 million life insurance policy that he inherited from his wife? It must have been big money that they were so desperate to fucking steal now, huh? What's in the dark will come out into the light, Eleanor. It's always going to be in the light, Eleanor Gilding. You can run, but you can't fucking hide. Anyway, this particular law firm, and I'll tell you why I'm mad in a minute. Klein Lawyers has filed a class action lawsuit. Now, you keep in mind, my friend sent this to me. And I just got it today because I was doing some other banking issues. Okay? So whatever I'm feeling with ShaMay doing that video, well, you know it's compounded by 1,000 times in terms of the rage that I feel for no justice for my family, regardless of who that individual is. Whether it's Sierra, whether it's Uncle John, whether it's Amari, whether it's Andre, whether it's Marcane, whether it's freaking Brooks, whether it's ShaMay. And of course, I'm last on that list, and we know why, right? I fell through the cracks with going basically blind. But besides that point, against the 7 defendant agencies listed, I need to find this lawsuit. And take the time to freaking read it. Agencies listed above. Oh, they're all health authorities. Health authorities. Oh, what? Sonia 2 from the Attorney General's office trying to throw out the lawsuit that I filed, telling me to take the health authority to fucking court when I'm already dealing with 2 separate health authorities. Fraser Health Authority, Island Health Authority. Yeah, I'm supposed to take 2 separate fucking health authorities to court. Ones that are already thoroughly 100% corrupted, and not only are they fucking corrupted, but they work and operate under a $2 billion fucking slush fund with legal lawyers that just sit around smoking cigars and drinking whiskey until some sucker comes in to pay to lose. Yeah, okay, and that came from a professional lawyer telling me she can't help me and go against that corruption with Amari. Yeah, but I'm expected to do it by myself. Or what, be sent to lawyer referral as if they're going to help me. Last time I went to fucking lawyer referral asking for pro bono to help me with Uncle John, the person I sat down in front of basically called me a hussy for 15 fucking minutes, and then the other 15 minutes told me to go sue Eleanor. No, the government needs to get involved. This is the government's employees committing heinous crimes against innocent individuals. Innocent families! Innocent old people! Whatever! Klein Lawyers has, right? Okay, let's just read this again. Klein Lawyers has filed a class action lawsuit, which I will look into, against the 7 defendants, which are all health authorities, listed above. The lawsuit says that the agencies have detained capable adults without their consent. Okay. So they are specifically suing Fraser Health Authority, Island Health Authority, but they're using it under the act of the Guardianship Act, right? Because that's legally how you're supposed to do it. Unlike, okay, but John, they didn't use it because they didn't want to put the money on lockdown. They wanted just to run it through the fucking bank, launder the money through the bank. They thought I was dumb, stupid, and easy to accuse of whatever and get rid of me. Yeah, okay, that's why I got a fucking bank 8 years later calling me what to do with Uncle John's signature. I don't know, motherfucker. What are you going to do with Uncle? You going to forge Uncle John's signature again just to get rid of Andre's $92 savings account? Trust account? A trust account that you squashed for stealing John's money? 8 years fucking later? Yeah, bring it on, motherfucker. Bring it on. Put egg on your face. Because it's been there already for a long, long time. It's been on your face for so long, it's so crusted that you'll never get it off. Because you refuse to make restitution. In terms of CIBC Bank, Fraser Health Authority, and the province of British Columbia, Canada, with their crooked fucking politicians, and every other union, public union and sector employee that facilitated all this crap against my family. To where half of them are already dead. But not forgotten about. And they sure in hell didn't die in vain. Have detained capable adults without their consent and without promptly seeking court orders. Eleanor Gilding did not promptly seek a court order in any capacity because she was greedy and wanted to keep the money for herself, and she thought that her position within the province of British Columbia, Canada, as a senior nurse to the provincial immunization program that goes around inoculating every single fucking healthcare worker right across this province, and if they don't take the clock shot, what happens? They get fired, people. She knew that she could do what she wanted to do and get away with it. And damn right, she sure did fucking get away with it, didn't she? Because we had Sonia, too, come in with her monotone, no, just whatever, false accusations. And they threw it out of court because the judge was already bought and paid for. All right? Hold on. Let's just finish this. If you or someone you know have been detained by any of the agencies, listen, I still hold my position as enduring power of attorney and power of attorney to Mr. Bernard John Duncan's legal affairs. Regardless of what those legal affairs, well, we still got that shit pending with CIBC Bank where they require John's signature. What, is Eleanor Gilding going to sign off on Andre? Well, she signed off on Andre when she took John. And then proceeded to stalk my family, target my family, and basically have a hand in having half my family die since she took John. What, is YouTube gonna take this one down and say it's too fucking real? I don't have a right to talk about my family, fight for my family. Protect my family, the future of my family, whether born or unborn. I have grandkids too, you know, people. They deserve to live in a country where it should be safe. What is the point of having laws if nobody follows them? And clearly, here's an agency full of fucking lawyers that can see that there's a problem, and the only reason they're taking the bait in terms of pay to lose is because there's so many people coming together and filing the class action lawsuit versus a single person like me coming in young and dumb, don't know what they're doing, easy to push over and stomp on, right? Of course, you know, right? But they feel like they have a better chance up against that $2 billion slush fund, right? By having a class action lawsuit that clearly involves John. Right? By any of the agencies listed above, we'd like to hear from you. You can help shape the story. Nobody wants to listen to John's story because it hits too close to fucking home, and then once it's exposed and the government is held to account, then it's the government's responsibility to clean the swamp. It is the government's responsibility to fire Eleanor Gilding and put her ass in fucking jail, or at least fine her $1 million fucking dollars, so people like her never, ever, ever do this shit again. And then build in the safety nets through their legislation by bringing in a new agency of workers that go around investigating criminal activity among their employees as a government employer. The government is responsible for what happened to Uncle John. Don't expect me to take Fraser Health Authority and Island Health Authority to court when the system is rigged against me. Because the government ultimately props up criminal activity. Join us in the fight to protect the rights of all adults in British Columbia. Call Klein Lawyers today. All right, now I'm going to put this on me and I'm going to end this stupid video, okay? Because you don't even know how fucking mad I am. Because I phoned that number, all right? I phoned that number, people, because, you know, I mean, it's like too convenient that I got that email just as I'm converting over what I just did with Shamay, okay? And I got some guy on the phone. I gave it to him in a real short nutshell. He's saying that it's not something that they would take on because it's not directly, it's criminal. Because I said, you know, they broke, like, you know, they broke various, they didn't use, if, whatever Eleanor was doing, okay, in terms of trying to take over his assets, as she accused me of stealing them. She didn't accuse me of being incompetent. She accused me of being a fucking thief, and I was abusing him. Just so that she could get everybody all geeked up, whether it was in the bank, or whether it was in the fucking halls of the old Yale Center, the Surrey Memorial Hospital, whatever, as she was paying out bribes. Because you have to remember, she was sitting on, we'll just say $500,000 cold cash. She just needed to get the right to sign John's fucking signature, even though she had been on in his life for over 50 fucking years. Okay? I never met the woman once. And I knew John for 35 years. Not once did she ever fucking find a way to come over here and say, "Hi, John, it's your sister." No. No. Anyway, okay, let's stay focused, because I just want to end this video because I got other things to do, and this makes me so sick. So, suing the defendants, obviously there's breach of trust, which falls under the Criminal Code of Canada. What makes me mad is the person I was talking to on the fucking phone with this lawyer agency said that I need to go to lawyer referral because whatever happened to John doesn't relate to what they're fucking doing with their stupid class action lawsuit. And I said, no, that's not true. Just because they didn't fucking use the Guardian Act and then use that system to take over his assets. The fact is they didn't use it, people. They reversed it, and therefore that gave them the free run to do what they wanted to fucking do. But whatever they're representing in terms of adults losing their right to make their own decisions and da-da-da-da, or if the decisions are, you know, whatever, and there's a dispute, you go in front of a judge, and then the judge, they didn't do any of that. They bypassed it, people. Okay? And I told him that, and I said they did it through bank fraud, mail fraud. They did it through the Power of Attorney Act. They did it through the Patient Property Act. They did it through the Health Care Act. Because there's different parts within the acts that all integrate with each other, and then within those acts there's rules and regulations, and then there's fucking mandates, right? And before you know it, you got binder after binder after binder after binder. Everything that they say that they follow is untrue unless it benefits them. So in this situation, whatever these people were going through, they used the Guardian and Adultship Act against those people by illegally detaining them with 2 signatures from 2 separate doctors to say that whoever had charge of their assets could no longer do anything because it had to go in front of a judge, and then the judge would appoint whoever to manage that individual's affairs, whether financially, personally, or whatever. But you see, I already had the enduring power of attorney. I already had the power of attorney. So they would have had to call me in as 2 powers of attorney, and then convince the judge that I was incapable of looking after Uncle John, as on that day he wouldn't be drugged. And he'd be saying to the judge, no, I want to go back home to the kids. I want to go back to from where I came from with Judy before I ended up in this fucking living nightmare at the hospital, Surrey Memorial Hospital. But they couldn't allow him to do that, so they would have kept him fucking drugged, people. Therefore, he became... John, what's the matter with you? Why can't you put on your... I don't know what's the matter with me, Jude. I don't know why I can't put on my sweater. Because he was fucking drugged. And I was too stupid to see it. Sierra seen it. Sierra is the one who told me, Mom, the reason they're making him eat all the food is because they're giving him OxyContin. I said, how do you know that, Sierra? Because I went to go take Uncle John outside for some fresh air, and the black nurse, she couldn't tell us that they were drugging him, but she inadvertently told Sierra, listen, you gotta be careful. He just got his medicine. It was right after fucking lunch, people. He just got his medicine. He can't stand up. You gotta be careful that he doesn't stand up because, he might fall down. Oh, Sierra's an addict. She knew exactly what the fuck was going on. She came home and she told me. Soon after that, they scooped him up by drugging him and putting him in the bottom of the ferry. In Eleanor Gilding's fucking van, in a fucking hammock. And when he woke up, he like, I would know, John. Well, why am I here? I want to go home. Where's the kids? Where's Judy? Well, they couldn't control him, people. They couldn't control him. That's why they took him to the fucking Victoria General Hospital. In emergency, said, oh, look, he's freaking out. Something wrong. He's, right? They drug him up to shut him up. Drug him up to shut him up, and that's what they did. And then they kept him fucking drugged. So this guy on the phone with this fucking, lawyer agency, fighting for the same cause, really? Oh, they're not going to help you. These lawyers aren't going to help you. This is a class action lawsuit, and what you're talking about is criminal activity. Well, yeah. One way or another, these individuals, that's what this fucking class action lawsuit is about. Somewhere in there, under that act, in connection with other acts, because it spreads out like a freaking tentacle, right? Whoever those lawyers are representing under that class action lawsuit, by default, becomes criminal activity because the workers of this province were not following the rules. They broke the rules, and by breaking the rules, it becomes a crime. So then you go, well, where did the crime? Well, breach of trust. That falls under the Criminal Code of Canada, under this section, right? Bank fraud, whatever. Illegally detaining somebody, right? That is also under the Criminal Code of Canada, under a different section. And then they write it into their legislations on a provincial level to supposedly control their workers. But they don't control their workers. As a matter of fact, they reward their workers. And Eleanor Gilding is the perfect example. And then it goes on, and because we're dealing with evilness, people, attached itself to Shamay, attached itself to Maury, attached itself to Sierra, attached itself to me, and so on, to which I'm going to end this video right now. I got my point across. How dare you tell me you can't represent John because I'm coming with the actual Criminal Code of Canada where it's fucking documented whether it's this crime, this crime, this crime, or whether it's through legislation under this act, and I'm not just coming in with one. I'm coming in with a whole fucking listful with their mandates and their rules and their regulations, right? Okay? And how the lawyer wants to interpret that and bring it down where, you know, he can or she can keep it simple? Like they're trying to keep it simple under one act? Whatever they did under that one act to follow up on a class action lawsuit was a criminal act, which leads into other branches within other legislations, including within the Criminal Code of Canada. I don't think that these lawyers as a collective group are that weak to not be able to see that. I said to this dude, I said, okay, so, well, who are you? I thought maybe I was talking to a lawyer. Well, I'm just the switchboard. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe that's why. Because he's telling me to go to lawyer referral. And I said, no, I'm not going to no lawyer referral because, first of all, I know I'm up against a $2 billion fucking slush fund. I've already been there, done that with Fraser Health Authority. Right? Got CIBC Bank, you know, still pending, thrown off to the wayside. We got the BC provincial government trying to throw things out, and that's kind of went on dormancy, and I have to follow up on that just to be able to carry on and continue doing, to which I might be able to follow up with that come January or February, and I'm doing this all by myself, right? I don't have the privilege of big legal lawyers and $2 billion to defend my family. All I have is spirit and love. Spirit and love. Love and spirit. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's all interchangeable. So if you're going to file a class action lawsuit because one particular... I'm getting hot. One particular... legislation wasn't used correctly for the benefit of patients. I mean, that's by default, crimes were committed. You just haven't isolated them down yet. Where I've already crunched the numbers. I've already isolated them down. I've written them down. I've documented it, people. So he forwarded me to the paralegal, and she didn't answer the phone, so I had to leave a message. And I just basically said what I said to you, but I said it in like 3 minutes. You know, Mr. Duncan was medically kidnapped, illegally detained, illegally drugged with, you know, medication that, you know, knocked him out. Illegally transported. Hold on a minute. I'm really hot, right? You see me take off my sweater, and the heat is on, and the furnace filter needs to be changed, and I'm geeked myself up, right? You know, it's just, and I kept it fast, you know, He was illegally transported, illegally drugged, illegally detained. I had 2 powers of attorney, right? Nobody took me through the fucking to court. Nobody took me to court. They were supposed to use the Adult Guardianship Act in order to take me away from being power of attorney and enduring power of attorney of Mr. Bernard John Duncan. And that was the whole point of the fucking lawsuit, people. That's why I didn't take Eleanor Gilding personally to court to try and fight for John's money. No, it was a lot more than John's money, because at that time I didn't even know he had fucking money. Okay? That wasn't figured out until months and months later, until finally I went to the bank and came across only one one bank manager. It was like a year after the fact. A year and a half of them taking John and locking me out. But I still had access to his account because those are power of attorneys, right? I could deposit money, I could get printouts, I could get bank statements. I just couldn't take out money. because they were trying to remove me from power of attorney through the back door, through the back room, through bank fraud, hoping I would just go away, and I didn't. And I went one day and I found one good bank manager, and he gave me a photocopy of my enduring power of attorney after every other bank personnel for a year and a half, a year, or whatever the hell it was, refused to give it to me and just said, go get a lawyer, go get a lawyer, go get a lawyer, because they knew that what the fuck they were doing was bank fraud. Yeah. Got it documented, people. I can even prove how they fucking finally removed me from removing me where I couldn't see what was going on in John's account after they moved him into a care facility, like an old folks home, right? But they never did remove me as enduring power of attorney. No, nothing legal. And that's why Andre's trust account with $92 in it that requires John's signature and my signature is still sitting there at CIBC Bank. And I'm serious. If they fucking close it without my signature and John's signature, then that means that they committed fraud again by forging John's signature. But they'll use Eleanor Gilding to close that account. Sign it off somehow to get rid of John. Now they're going to hide the dirty secret of Uncle John with that bank. Yeah, okay. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what the fuck happens. Where they should have just taken me to the adult guardianship through that act with that agency, taken me to court so I can stand there and say, well, you need John here so John can speak for himself and you can make the right decision for John, your honor. But they didn't want that. Nope. Instead, they put him in the bowels of a ferry, drugged up with their OxyContin, drove him across the water. They couldn't control him when he woke up, so they rushed him to the Victoria General Emergency Ward and said, look how we found him, and then accused me of creating that, even though he had been sitting in the healthcare system between Sir Memorial Hospital and the old Yale Center for 39 fucking days. 40 days. And now they're saying this guy on the phone is telling me that has nothing to, whatever they're doing has nothing to do with John. Yeah, it has everything to do with John, because Uncle John was the tip of the iceberg. The iceberg is coming to the surface here. Not every story is equal in terms of 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 = 2. You got 50 stories where 1 + 1 = 2, 50 fucking times, as if that's the real world. No, those 50 fucking stories have unique individual experiences, and Uncle John is included in that mix. It's just, I took it to a whole new level. I had nothing to gain other than get Uncle John back and make my kids happy. That was the only thing that I had to gain. I wasn't looking for money, although I put down money, $10 million, as if. And even then, I didn't write it correctly. So if you don't write it correctly, you don't get it. What we wanted was Uncle John back home. That was the best method to get the attention of the government, for the government to clean up the employees' rampant criminal acts of debauchery. But the government is involved, people. And then it brings you to 2020, when they came in with whatever, with their fake pre-recorded live streams. Yeah. Reporting on deaths that happened yesterday, when in fact the live stream was pre-recorded 8 days in the past, 2 weeks in the past. Yeah, okay. And then we wonder why my videos are being taken down. Yeah. Because it's documented. One way or another. Just like with Shamay. Oh yeah, I'm going to end it on that, because I can go around and around and around. So I don't expect this organization, these band of lawyers to help me. I left a message that I'd like to speak to a lawyer personally, because this directly relates with Uncle John, because this is the example of what the Fraser Health Authority and Island Health Authority did not do and should have done under the act of the adult guardian, which leads into other acts, because ultimately it was a criminal act that they committed against John through various acts, just like whatever these people are going through with their 49 different individual stories had breach of trust and other criminal acts perpetrated against them through the same fucking workers that did it to John. Yeah. So I take it personal when the guy tells me it doesn't relate to Uncle John because it didn't actually get to where it needed to go. And that's the point. It didn't get there. And therefore, the government should be held to account to make sure that it does get there when it's legitimate. And I would have had no problem, people. I would have had no problem, just like I have no problem right now sitting here saying what I'm saying, to stand in front of a judge with my kids to say, listen, this is John. This is what's going on. Talk to John. Make sure that whatever drug they pumped into his system has had a chance to clear out so his brain isn't so fuzzy. And he'll tell you what he wants. And if you're a true judge, you would listen. And if you felt that he was that incompetent, and I was that incompetent, then yeah, by all means, sign it over to that organization, the Adult Guardian Trust Association, and let them manage John's inheritance, being that's why Eleanor did what she did. Because if he would never have inherited that money, people, she would never have fucking done it. And that's why in all the years that I have known John, not once did I ever meet the woman. Not once. Except for on the day she was loading him up in the hammock. I walked into the room, I seen the hammock, I seen a swarm of people around the hammock. Andre was with me. I said I was expecting to see John in the wheelchair. It was just after lunch. It was 1 o'clock. So he had his lunch. They gave him his fucking dope. They put him out. They were loading him up in the fucking hammock. They weren't sure when I was going to show up. And by chance, I walked in. I said, "Where's John?" This fucking hag, Eleanor Gilding, turned around and said, "John's not here. Be quiet. You're being disrespectful." And I'm like, okay, John's not here? No, he's not. I said, "Where is he?" "We don't know. Stop being disrespectful." I've got Andre standing beside me as if I'm going to run up and start pushing through people that are going to fucking mob me. Okay? I left. I turned around. I went to the nursing station, asked to speak to a doctor. There was a doctor standing there. I said, "Where's John?" He goes, "John? I don't know where John is. Wait for the social worker." The screechy social worker! The one that was conspiring behind John's back and my back and accusing me this and accusing the kids of this and accusing Tisha of that and Shamay of this and just accusing me as she was plotting and scheming how to buy more time so Eleanor could commit her fucking mail fraud, get the banking information so they could ship his ass out of there ASAP to another fucking hospital just to drug him up again so they could steal his fucking money in partnership with CIBC Bank. And avoid the Guardian Public Adult Act. Because they didn't want that money on fucking lockdown. Don't tell me your class action lawsuit doesn't involve John. That's why I'm mad, people. Because it does. They covered up what happened to John. Because as a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, Paul Evans, the lawyer that was willing to represent John, because John didn't want to go to Victoria and be kidnapped, he told me to get a lawyer. I got that on video. Said that I needed to write, I'm pretty sure that agency, I'd have to go into my files, and request an investigation as to what happened to John. I did that, and then they came back with some minute phone call that everything was fine, and they found nothing wrong, and they hung up the phone on me. They didn't give me nothing in writing, nothing. I'm pretty sure it was them. But that would fall in line with what's going on here. Because on the other side of the coin, they're using this particular act to seize people's assets, their houses, their pension plans, their inheritances, their safety deposit box with gold bullion or whatever, right? And the people that have the power of attorney, the enduring power of attorney, like me, are being withheld from exercising their rights to speak on behalf of the ones that they represent, because now that agency that runs this act, that monitors this act, that is supposed to be at arm's length to the government, but which in fact is not really at arm's length, because the government puts funds into it, even though it's supposed to be independent and kind of like a non-profit. But besides that point, and then you got the family now fighting for their rights in court. Either way, I would have lost. But the thing is, the ones that are in that situation, whatever assets those individuals lost because of what's happening to them, the lawyers that represent that agency that monitors and manages that particular act, they make big money. While the family either pay money to get lawyers to fight, right? Or all you have to do is accuse somebody of abusing somebody, and that's it. You're fucking scandalous. Throw in fucking YouTube, and you right? Why do you think YouTube's been doing what YouTube's been doing to me all these years, people? It's not just because. It's because, right? So either or, it still all falls under the same act, which branches off to other acts, including the Criminal Code of Canada, which ultimately becomes a default of criminal activity under certain sections of this, and this. So for this dude on the phone to tell me that whatever I got to say with Uncle John is insignificant because I'm dealing with criminal activity and I need to go to lawyer referral, to find a lawyer to help me with that, because that's not what they're doing. Well, what the fuck are you doing? If you're not standing up against criminal activity, what are you standing up against? Right? Like, just asinine. Asinine, people. It's all asinine. I don't want to pick on Susan, but that's like fucking giving Susan all that information, and it flew over the cuckoo's nest. Literally, just fucking flew over the cuckoo's nest. In terms of, well, I don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole because I don't want to fight for justice. Not unless it's a slam dunk. Yeah. I don't know what kind of justice warrior thinks like that. It's got to be a slam dunk or nothing. Because we got a whole lot of fucking nothing going on in the province of British Columbia, Canada. And if they shut out Uncle John, oh my God, you don't even know. I'm going to be so freaking mad. I will be so mad. Oh yeah. I'll be so mad that I might even take the time to write the fucking CEO of that lawyer organization, and I'll say, how dare you? And I'll send him a copy of everything that is evidence to prove that what I say is true. So where was that organization that represents that particular act to protect John? Nobody protected John. The only person who protected John was me. That's why he was with me, people, all these years. Why do you think his wife moved in? Sicker than a dog, couldn't live on her own, couldn't live in assisted living anymore. They were putting her in an old folks' home. Why do you think she came here? Because she would have been protected, people. And within a year of being in a healthcare system like an old folks' home, she was dead. After she left with me. She lived with me for 3 years with John. Got her marriage back. Happy, even though she had her issues. But it got so bad with everything, she had to go, right? Because she needed more medical care. Like medical with oxygen tanks and all this other shit. Doctor walked in when he first met her. Once they moved her in there, right? Said, you got 1 year to live. She moved in December. And by December 13th, they fucking killed her by turning off the IV water. John and I, we didn't figure it out until after she died. The night she died, we figured it out. Then his sister came in, snatched up on her dead body, threw her into the fucking trash, and went on the kill for John. And that's basically what she did. It took her a little while. She had to wait until he got sick with the flu and end up at the fucking hospital before she could go in there and start bribing everybody. So that she could steal whatever it was Joan left her. As she trashed my family and put a hit on us. As the government fucking encourages it and protects it and fucking facilitates it. Okay? Yeah. So anyway, in regards to Shamay, the timeline, the reason I couldn't understand that ultrasound being on May 24th of 2017, and then by June, because you forget, right? And then by June 7th, she did that video. Oh, I'm going to burst out in tears here, people. You don't even know. I'm crying for Uncle John. I'm crying for Amari. I'm crying for Shamay. I'm crying for everybody. Like, I just so want to cry. Because I know the hypocrisy in this stupid, rotten fucking country that I live in. And these politicians are making it worse. They're making it worse. Anyway, on June 7th, went to follow up the ultrasound. That's why on June 7th, when she was walking saying, everything's fine, I'm having a boy, blah, 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 blah. Because you have to remember, in her medical files, the healthcare professionals were writing in that she had no prenatal care. Okay? To make her look like she was a junkie. To make her look like she crawled off the streets, fucking strung out on dope. So that they could cover up somehow, some way, whatever it is that happened to Amari. Okay? Ultrasound. And on May 24th. So, technically, she got the actual ultrasound at an official medical clinic. Right? And it's funny I should be talking about this as I open up my email and I get that with Uncle John. Wherever I go, wherever we go with Shamay, wherever we go with Amari, wherever we go with Sierra, wherever we go with Andre, wherever we go with the family, I don't care. We're a family. Uncle John will always be with us. He did not abandon this family. Let me remind you of that, Eleanor Gilding. If you ever get wind of my videos in regards to I stand my ground, and you will be in purgatory in the bowels of your church in a dungeon. That's the bed that you made for yourself when you destroyed John's life and the rest of his family. And you can convince yourself that you're the loving fucking sister. But at the end of the day, I seen you. You told me to get the hell out of there, that John wasn't there, and that I was being loud and disrespectful. No, you were the one that was loading him up in the hammock. And it just so happened I walked in at the right minute to fucking see it. Okay. Well, I seen the hammock, and I seen everybody hovered around him, with an old hag looking back at me. And when I look at your fucking pictures that Joan left behind that you never came to pick up, that's you, bitch. That's fucking you. You were ugly when you were young, and you're twice as ugly now that you're older. But you've always been ugly, because it takes an ugly person to do what you did to John. And because you got away with John, you're doing it with other people. And this is exactly why this lawyer organization has filed this freaking lawsuit. Because their stories back up John's story. It's just not every story is 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 = 2. Everybody's got a unique story. And that's Uncle John's story. It's very unique. But it all falls under the same legislation. which branches out to other legislations, which ends up being crime. So for that receptionist to sit up there and say, well, this doesn't apply to John or to us because you need to go get a criminal lawyer. Please. No. That ain't gonna happen. I can't go get a criminal lawyer. That's not the way the system works. You have to prove first that it's the crime, that a crime occurred. But if you can't prove it, you don't get anywhere with it. Once it's proven, then it becomes the judge's responsibility, it becomes the Crown Prosecutor's responsibility, and it becomes the government's responsibility to clean the swamp. It's not my responsibility to clean the swamp. I'm incapable of doing that. I don't have the resources. Anyway, she went for the ultrasound on May 24th of 2017. That was documented. That was an official ultrasound that was done in a medical clinic because that's how doctors do that out here, okay? And then she had to go for the follow-up to find out the results of that ultrasound, as it's being written in her freaking medical files that she received absolutely no prenatal care. But here it's clearly documented that she did, and then so therefore she went back on June 7th to get the results of the ultrasound that was done on May 24th of 2017, and that's where she was informed that she was going to have a boy and that he was healthy. So there you go, Fraser Health Authority, Andrew the Dragon. You lying pieces of you-know-what. And if they're going to lie about that, what else have they lied about? And that's where Dr. Fasinski comes in. Oh, no. No, you only suffer from depression. You have a little bit of OCD, you know, and life has been really rough. And yes, you're going blind because you got the glaucoma, but we're not going to fill out your disability form. We'll do that after Christmas, so come back. But as soon as I see you filling out the form to get your daughter's medical files, even though we discussed it, right, I made sure I followed you out, and when I caught you fucking doing it, right, I made sure to inform you that you're not going to get them. Right? And if you want them, you have to take me, Dr. Fasinski, to court to get them. As if I'm going to go back in the new year and ask him to fill out my disability form. As if I'm going to go back into the new year and ask for a referral for my eyes. Yeah, okay. That's malpractice, people. What he did. Because he's hiding something. Because she had medical care. She had prenatal care. I just proved that. And Uncle John's in the bleachers. You go, Judy! You go! Yeah! You suck it to them, girl! That's why I love you, Judy, because you always, fighting for the fat, right? Was I talking about Uncle John when I was doing ShaMay's video? No! But notice how same day, all of a sudden, he just pops up out of nowhere. And I'm calling professionals on it, people. I'm so mad. Listen, I got that box that I sent Susan. I haven't opened it since. But do you know how easy it is for me to take out that fucking information, go over there, grab a binder from Fraser Health Authority with their bullshit crap, and just send it to them by courier and ask them to just take a half an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and just look at that fucking everything as a professional lawyer and then tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me where I'm fucking wrong and how it doesn't fit in with your lawsuit. And I'll pay for it to be curried back. If lawyers are that busy that they can't do that for Uncle John, how the fuck can they represent all these other people? Because that could have happened to Uncle John. That should have happened to Uncle John. At least if it would have happened that way, Uncle John would have had a better fighting fucking chance. But you know what? They got the cards rigged wrong. Because by this lawsuit being filed by as a class action lawsuit shows you that whatever is going on under the thumb of that organization that manages that legislation and uses it to their advantage to prop up their fucking budget and their paychecks, okay? I mean, clearly there's problems. It's a class action lawsuit. That wasn't my focus, though. My focus was Uncle John and his story. And his story is just as valuable as all those other people that had to go through that system. But I would have walked into that system and I would have faced those judges and I would have fought just as hard for Uncle John. And I would have demanded that Uncle John be there so that the judge could hear his voice. How those other people didn't have a voice through that process? Well, that's why they filed the lawsuit, people. Uncle John had a voice before he freaking went into the hospital, for crying out loud. I was sleeping for a whole fucking week because of the Surrey flu that was going around killing 40 people in a fucking month when it came to the homeless people. As my daughters were working at McDonald's, feeding the homeless, a thousand homeless people every day. They brought home the flu. If it wasn't them, it was Sierra because she was homeless. Everybody got it. I got it. I slept for a week. Who was holding down the fort? Uncle John. Who was looking after Andre? Uncle John. Who was keeping an eye on the kids as they were going in and out, going to work, doing whatever? Who was standing by the stove, keeping an eye on everything, checking up on me, making sure I didn't die? It was Uncle John. Who was the last person to get the flu? It was Uncle John. Who made the decision to have him go to the emergency under a non-emergency ambulance ride because we were concerned that he would sleep and die due to the dehydration because of his age? Him and I made that decision together. As soon as he got to the hospital, I phoned his fucking mom. Eleanor got involved. That was it. Uncle John was done. Because Eleanor was sitting on that life insurance policy that she didn't tell John about for 14 fucking months after Joan died. That is a crime! And they don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole? You know why Eleanor did it that way? Because she knew that if it went into that organization that managed that type of legislation, the money would have been sucked up by fucking lawyers. The money would have been sucked up by somebody else being appointed to manage John's fucking money as we were sitting there fighting over it in court. I wasn't fighting for John's money, people. I was fighting to bring John home. My kids wanted him home. John wanted to come home. And I'm still fighting. It's like a domino effect. I'm talking about Shamay and now I'm screaming on about John. As I'm being told by some switchboard receptionist that John doesn't count. As they're filing a fucking class action lawsuit. As I got it written into my fucking, what is that called? Lawsuit, the exact same act. And how it was used against him by negligent, by not following up on it. Because they would have had a hard time proving that John was incompetent. Oh yeah, they would have had a hard fucking time. I'm sorry, you can't stand at the stove, go back and forth, check on me, manage with the kids, look after a little fucking 3-year-old boy, right? And be incompetent. You can't, don't tell me it's a whole fucking week I slept, people. Martine wasn't looking after Andre. Shamay wasn't looking after Andre. She was working. Tisha wasn't looking after Andre. She was working. She was serving all the homeless people that were dropping off like flies because of a flu, right? Martine couldn't do it because he was either working or he was in college, one or the other. The only person that was around was John. And what do you think John was doing? Looking after Andre. So if he was looking after an Andre before he ended up at the Surrey Memorial Hospital and lost his fucking brains in a matter of 24 hours, kind of makes you wonder how he lost his brains in a matter of 24 hours after he put in a full fucking week's worth of work. Looking after me, sleeping, making sure I don't die, and looking after Andre and keeping tabs on the kids and holding down the fort. As his sister was conspiring and scheming and plotting how to steal his money. And the only way she could do that was to medically kidnap him in the manner that she did. Look how we found him! Quickly, give him a shot to calm him down before he has a heart attack. Even the fucking Cheryl, John almost had a heart attack. Yeah, I wonder why John almost had a heart attack. I wonder why. I know how John would be. You know, yeah, where's Judy? Where's the... Well, Yeah, they gave him a fucking shot, and then they made him sleep until they fucking got what they wanted. And then they tucked him away like a dirty secret, committed their bank fraud, fucking every other fraud under the fucking sun. Got the government involved. Right? Eleanor must be one powerful fucking bitch to have the government protect her ass. Think about it. Right? Like, what is this, the fucking witch of the fucking century, that she's got everybody by the fucking balls? That just shows you how corrupt these people are. No, because there's more than one Eleanor out there. And this is what this lawsuit represents. It's just a different story out of 50 stories. And John's at the top of the fucking pack. But because I'm poor, I'm not the epitome of what is right. I'll never stand up to their... I don't know. Yeah. They always got to sacrifice somebody or something. Right. So we know Shamay had the ultrasound on May 24th through a legitimate medical center. And that's why she didn't receive any information in regards to whether the baby was normal in terms of development, whether it was a boy or girl. She just went in for the ultrasound. She took a picture. She waited for her appointment to get the results. She went in on June 7th to get the results. And then, obviously, they were good results as she was walking doing the recording. As the healthcare staff, the very staff, the same kind of people, the same kind of individuals are conspiring to falsify her medical records, knowing what they were going to do with the Mari and then eventually to her body, because my family's been targeted. And they do it through the healthcare system, and they do it through the medical clinics. They used organized religion to help facilitate it. Birds of a feather flock together with that beehive mentality. They use bribes. I mean, if you're inheriting, well, sorry, if you're stealing $500,000, $1 million, it's nothing to you to drop $5,000 bribe here, $10,000 bribe there to get what you want, which is ultimately $950,000 tax free, and all you had to pay out was $50,000 in bribes to get it. Joan, leave it on this note. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't $1 million. Like, seriously, people. I'm almost done.
Coffee?
No.
Okay.
I have a headache. I don't feel very well. On the verge of tears. Joan was always dying. Joan had severe mental illness from the moment John married her. He just didn't know. She had bulimia and anorexia. She kept it hidden from him for a long, long time. She couldn't have kids. They ended up adopting one through a Catholic society. Okay, whatever. And throughout their marriage in the early years, she was going in and out of mental institutions where she'd actually be there for months and months on end, right? Because she was suicidal and anorexic and bulimia and popping pills and all this other crap. Okay, so that went on for years, right? And then as they aged, it got harder for John because, he got degenerate maculation with eyesight and bad, legs and back, and she didn't like to clean, and, he couldn't cope. And anyway, over the years, because she was a government worker, there was always that superannuation life insurance policy. But I'm sure she had more than one, because that was her method for love. I have life insurance policy, love me. Right? She knew that Debbie, her adopted daughter, once she got the money that Joan left Debbie, obviously she left something for John too, but they didn't want John to have it. But whatever she left Debbie was to reinforce love. Right? Because she was proud of it. She was proud of it. That's the thing. She was so proud. I got life insurance policy. And but she was scandalous. Ugh. She'd get a cell phone, rack it up, be $2,000-$3,000 she'd owe. They'd be bugging her to get paid and try and seize her bank account. She'd close the bank account, go open up another bank account someplace else and start with a new cell phone company, and just wouldn't pay her fucking bills. I never met anyone like her before. I didn't even know it was possible to do shit like that. But that's what she was doing. Well, she was living here. She'd get Roger's cell phone, this cell phone, that, and she kept transferring her banks. First it would be Royal Bank, then it would be Bank of Montreal. Then she had a TD Bank, because they were coming after her to pay these bills, right? And she just didn't want to, so she just kept, it was like she was abandoned on the run, right? They couldn't catch up to her. But she didn't care, because she knew that once she was, and she was dying every 2 weeks, right, for one reason or another. So they were taking her ass out of my house every 2-3 weeks in an ambulance to the hospital, because she liked the attention. And she knew it was just a matter of time. And everybody would love her when they would sit there and, well, I left so-and-so this amount of money through my life insurance policy. I left so-and-so this amount of money through, but when they seen John, his sisters seen John, no, they didn't want John to have it. Because if they wanted John to have it, this story wouldn't exist. He wouldn't be number 1 out of 50 fucking stories. Even though his story doesn't match everybody else's, doesn't mean it's not a fucking story that's legitimate, because it is. Just like with Shamay. How dare you say she didn't get any prenatal care, when clearly you've seen in the last video that it's documented that she did. And not only did she get the prenatal care, but she was misled to believe that her baby was healthy, to which something happened, and nobody wants to figure out what happened. They just want to continue to accuse Shamay of doing the drugs, even though nobody's interested in finding out exactly what provoked brain injury, massive brain injury in Amari. Was it the sleeping pills? Was it Julian fucking manhandling her? Was it the ultrasound, the 3D ultrasound? Was it something else that the doctors did or didn't do? Was it the fact that they kept sending her home and telling her just go home and come back if it gets worse? She'd go back, it got worse. They send her home again, knowing that she had previous abortions, that perhaps maybe her cervix wasn't opening up and she needed fucking a surgery for that, instead of leaving it out, dragging it out for 5 days, as they're writing in the medical files that this hood rat keeps coming to the hospital complaining about birthing pains, but we're not going to do anything. We're just going to send her back out on the streets and call her a fucking, what, a slutty fucking addict? Just some addict that crawled in off the streets? There's your healthcare, British Columbia, Canada, freaking David E.B. David E.B., Premier E.B., fight for justice for all the Native people? Huh? Isn't that where you come from? What, my kids aren't Native? They don't qualify for your fucking mercy? For your charity? Yeah. For your warriorism? Yeah, okay. Huh? Yeah. Anyway, I'm not getting my hopes up for nobody. I'm not getting my hopes up for Uncle John. I highly doubt that these people will help with this situation, because they control the narrative, and it doesn't fit the narrative of what they're trying to do here, even though whatever they're representing clearly is some form of criminal activity. Nobody cares about what happened to Shamay. As a matter of fact, they justify it on all levels for one reason and another. And really nobody cares about what happened to Amari. They're just hoping that problem will go away. They don't care about me. Oh, hell no. Right? If anything, I'm a thorn in their side for a lot of individuals that don't want to care. Don't feel it's their responsibility, even though they represent themselves to be, you know, morally correct and freedom fighters and justice warriors and legal beagles or whatever. Whatever. I'll never ever be happy again while I'm on this planet, people. That was taken away from me and my family. I don't know, my kids, they try and move on, but not me. There's no moving on. The only moving on is when I poof. I'm gone. Nothing moves except me. Everything else stays behind as I walk towards Shmay, Uncle John, my grandmother. Sierra will be there. Perhaps my Uncle Nick. Maybe, probably my Uncle Harry. I gotta go! I gotta go! Okay! He's waking me up. And I'm sleeping, he's like on me. Like literally on me. Like, I gotta go! I gotta go! And I'm like, okay, go, go! I get up in the morning, I get a phone call. Guess what happened? I don't know. Uncle Harry died. I said, what do you mean Uncle Harry died? Yeah, he died. This morning. In wee hours of the morning. I'm like, oh my God. He was just shaking me. Oh no, because you'll just go nuts with it.
Just one I had a little bit.
No, a little bit becomes a whole bottle in a week. Not now. So, that's how I know. When I go, I won't be walking off by myself. I'll be walking towards somebody. And I pretty much know who I'll be walking towards. Because I walk for two separate worlds. Already. Okay. Things run in threes here. I got a phone call from the group, the lawyer group, that lawyer for, that was looking over Amari stuff. Her name was Susanna, right? And I had somebody, I asked, like, I Googled, because when I was fighting for John, Shmay, or whatever it is, right? They all come back, these judges and, whatever, lawyers. Oh, you can't speak for the dead. They're dead and gone. Right? Da, da, da. And I'm like, well, yes, I can. I have power of attorney, enduring power of attorney. Or I'm the mother, right? Anyway, okay, so of course I'm always on the back burner, right? Well, with this stuff, like, you don't even know people, like, it's like bad, okay? It's no way to live your life. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody. And I'm like, well, maybe it's time for you to maybe fight for yourself for a little while, being that they can't turn you away because you're not dead yet. Because as soon as you're dead, that's it. Nobody's going to fight for you because the government's going to make sure that they can't. Because I already know. I know how the system works. So I'm like, don't be afraid. Phone around, see if you can find somebody, a lawyer, quote unquote, right? To I guess, give you some advice, and by chance, by luck, by faith, by kindness, by mercy, by something, represent you. How you fell through the cracks because of corruption within the healthcare system and within our government and within our public union sector. Right? Starting with Dr. Ficinski. Take me to court. Yeah, okay. Knowing that the government is bringing in lockdowns where people can't even go see doctors. Anyway. So I just Googled personal injury. Because the last time for Amari, was birth injury. Up came the lawyer group. Wasn't even paying attention, because I get a lot of brain fog because of the eyes, right? And stress and whatever. Wasn't even paying attention to the name of the company, right? Phoned them the next day. The woman who answered said, hello, it's, and she introduced herself as Christy. And I'm like, Christy, are you, do you have a Susanna working with you? She goes, yeah. I said, oh, well, this is Judy Chorney, right? By chance, okay? And I told her what was going on. I'm calling about me this time. Because this, right? Can I please speak to a lawyer? So I just got the phone call. This is what I'm trying to say. Soon after I clicked out of this, the first video's up. I'm going to put them on the ChorneyFamily channel. I'm going to put it on ShaMay's channel. I'm going to put it up on my channel. I'm going to put it up on BitChute. And then I'm going to put up the next video in regards to Uncle John on the same 4 channels, which would be with this. Because I'm going to put this with the one I just was ranting on with Uncle John. Because that one really made me boil my blood, right? Because ShaMay was just the precursor to, she was just warming up the pot. Well, I don't know. Anyway, this woman called and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, and she goes in and I told her a little bit what was going on. And in a nutshell, people, and like, I told her exactly how I felt about these lawyers. At least, if I lived in the United States of America, like, you definitely have some people out there that fight for fucking justice. And not only do they fight for justice, but they rally the community to stand up for justice. Where in Canada, it just doesn't seem that way. When was the last time you ever heard of a lawyer rallying the community and the state or just whatever for a cause? You don't. Well, they had the truckers convoy, but that was something completely different, but I'm talking about like just, so anyway, in a nutshell, what she said was her organization, well, we already know her organization can't represent Amari. And I said, yeah, because it's not a slam dunk and you're up against a $2 billion slush fund. I understand that. I can appreciate that. But at the end of the day, I'm still looking, right? Because that Susan said there was one form or something was missing that she didn't see. But with her experience, she still, said that Amari's injury occurred before 34 weeks. Well, it's being written in ShaMay's medical files that she received no prenatal care. But clearly with this video, you can see that she did. Or was it this last video? The last video, the one I just posted. I'll provide the link, the previous video. And whatever happened to me off the subject of ShaMay and Amari, because that's insignificant, not going to find nobody to represent them, no, right, is insignificant too, because it's not considered apparently malpractice, because it's a systemic problem. I'm like, systemic problem? Am I supposed to take that personally? Is she directing that to me in terms of like, you're the problem, right? Systemically, somehow, some way, where it couldn't possibly be malpractice? Or is it in a broader sense? Because if it's in a broader sense, how could you possibly say it's not malpractice, what happened to me? Because on a broad sense, it's happening to so many other people. This is what I'm thinking in my brain as she's talking to me. So I had to get her to be more specific. I'm like, okay, well, what exactly do you mean by it's systemic? Are you directing that towards me, that it's a systemic problem with me? Or if it's a systemic problem within society in our, in the province of this, British Columbia, Canada? She goes, well, it's a broad sweep. It's broad sweep. It's nothing to do with me personally. It's just that there's 10,000 other people like me, so therefore it doesn't warrant taking it to court and holding anybody to account, because it's just business as usual for the crooks. I didn't say it like that, but then I basically told her, like, what do you guys stand up for, right? Like, right? And if you were to classify what happened to me, I gave her the timeline. Then she said she couldn't do it because she'd have to look at my timeline in terms of my medical files. And I say, well, I already told you, like, I haven't had a pap test in over 20 years. I probably haven't had a blood test in 15 years, right? I was denied disability in 2018 because they knew that my doctor was going to be out of commission for 3 weeks on holidays, and they only gave me 1 week to appeal it, so therefore that fell off to the wayside. They knew that my daughter was dead in 2018 by the time I put my application in, and they knew that I was stuck with a very disabled child, so it's not like, you know, I could really go off and do too much, and I was still in the mix of trying to figure out what the hell happened to Shamay, and clearly I was depressed, and so by 2020, you know, I told her that little timeline. Like, there's nothing to go look at when I can tell you exactly what's in my medical files, and this is what I told her. What you're going to find is you're going to find about an inch thick worth of nonprofit information talking about promoting universal school meal programs, the new Foundation for Community Partnership Constitution, and all the other stuff that I wrote to try and bring in goodwill into the community, with a little bit of this, a little bit of that, with the few times that I went in for referral, to get a referral from my family doctor for my eye drops, or to fill out my disability form. Other than that, people, I don't go to the doctor. And now that I can't go to the doctor because he's made it so uncomfortable, it becomes a systemic problem that is not malpractice. And I'm like, okay, so if it's not malpractice, then what is it? What is it? Even though it's a systemic problem. Like, double fork, speak with forked tongue, twist things around. Right? And then she goes on to say, well, maybe you need a mental health lawyer. And I said, well, is there even such a thing in British Columbia, Canada? Because we know I can't go outside the jurisdiction because of the Bar Association, God forbid, right? And through all this, I reminded her that I've been dealing with legislation, Criminal Code of Canada, all this other crap, really, since Andre was illegally apprehended. I told her how I was denied legal aid when they took him, and I had to go to the Supreme Court, start filing a lawsuit to get my grandson back. Provincial court caught wind of it, and then all of a sudden a judge is telling me to go make an application in to get legal aid, which has to be approved from the province of British Columbia, Canada, in order for me to get legal aid on a what? So I could have quote-unquote legal representation over the course of those 12 months, because we fought for 15 months. I fought for 15 months, right? First 3 months on my own. Took it to the Supreme Court, and then all of a sudden I'm told to go back to legal aid and put in another application, and got Paul, the lawyer, to fight for Andre for another 12 months, so that's 15 months, right? And then they went after John. And then they went after Shamay and Amari, to one degree or another. As I'm what? Just a systemic problem falling through the cracks? But it's not malpractice of any kind? Oh. So, you know, and I'm trying to understand this, because I'm talking, right? And I've already got lawyers on my brain with Uncle John's case, so of course all that legislation that I read with binder after binder after binder after binder, which I still have, people, okay, is flooding my brain. And then I get this other lawyer calling me saying you're basically insignificant because you're just a systemic problem that nobody cares about. That's what I said. Like, it's like nobody stands for justice. Like, how do you guys even make money? Is there lots of malpractice case? Oh yeah, there's lots. Oh, well, there you go. Maybe too many to count. And that's why they can throw the rest of us off to the side. I'm just saying. So, she said I should be looking for a mental health lawyer because I'm depressed. And I'm like, well, you do realize that is a slippery slope. You're just setting me up to be targeted even more and quite possibly for failure. Okay. Oh, I'm depressed. Oh, I'm this. Oh, I can't see. Oh, well, you can't look after the kids now, can you, Miss Chorney? Well, that's great advice. That's what I told her. Right? Are you sure that's the advice I should be following? I suppose I could phone and ask. I don't have to take the bait. I can nibble at it, but I don't have to swallow it. Because that could be a very dangerous, slippery slope for me to have some mental health lawyer fighting on my behalf for all the bullshit that's been going on in my life and in my family's life all these years because of the public union sector being incompetent to follow the rules under their own rules, regulations, mandates, and legislation, not to mention the Criminal Code of Canada. To which these lawyers just cherry pick. And then the subject of criminal something came up, and she, oh, well, you need to go get a criminal lawyer. I'm like, malpractice is a criminal act, which again branches out to other criminal acts within other acts. So, you know, especially if it's being done with intent, malicious intent, maleficence. So fucking stupid, man.
I did not stir your coffee.
I'm looking for what I wrote. I can't even find it. Oh, sorry.
No.
Okay, I got it.
Sure, it's
Yeah, I got
hot.
it. It's no, I'm okay. Thank you. It's a computer day. I'm supposed to be canning salsa.
And today for me is a gaming day.
Well, that's okay. I don't do. This is very important computer stuff because.
Did you take off that part from the piano?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I noticed that, but we might be able to do something about that. But that's not what we're talking about right now. You fixed it. You used your critical thinking skills and you got it all worked out. That stand's working good for you, right?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not.
Okay, don't interrupt me because this is already a long video. So yeah, she refers me to a mental health lawyer. I reminded her that she's kind of setting me up for failure and quite possibly to be putting me in a very dangerous, precarious position where I could ultimately lose my grandkids based on the fact that we're dealing with quote-unquote mental health here, not to mention the physical part of it. Although, you know, I'm open to suggestions. And then she offered to email me something. I said, just don't send me lawyer referral because that's a big waste of time. And then I asked her to kind of like hone in specifically, not that I want to start reading legislation because it gets very daunting. And for me, it's pointless and it's useless. It's a charade. It's a lie. It has no substance. I basically told her that. I used different words, but I basically told her that it's fake. It absolutely means nothing because the people that commit the crimes are the ones that use it to their advantage. But as soon as you call them on it, they put their tail between their legs and they run off and they accuse you of this, accuse you of that. You know, make their little backroom deals and they throw the shit out. And then they come and gang stalk you from a different corner. And they take out another family member to shut you up. That's it. And I said, and then what? They're going to come after you, but you will be okay. Because all you have to do is just go knock on your lawyer door friends. You know, your lawyers, their doors, your friends, your lawyer friends, go knock on their doors. And they'll all come out of the woodwork and they'll stand up for you, but they won't stand up for my family. And she didn't really like it. But I told her I'm being honest. That's how I feel about it. You know, I'm jaded. I admit it, people. Right? It's not about being biased. It's about being jaded and being injured and realizing how fake everything really is. Right? So she said, anyway, because I asked her to think. Just something fast. Just give me something that I can, because I'm not going to give up. Listen, if I'm not going to give up on Uncle John, well, first of all, if I'm not going to give up on Andre, I'm not going to give up, well, it started with Sierra when she was young. If I'm not going to give up on Sierra, and then it went on to Andre. If I'm not going to give up on Andre, and then it went on to Sierra again, and I didn't give up on Sierra, people, and I didn't give up on Uncle John, and I didn't give up on ShaMay, and I didn't give up on Amari, why the heck would I give up on myself? Right? Because anytime I come into contact with these crooks that call themselves professional lawyers, judges, masters, freedom fighters, justice warriors, I don't even know what they are. Okay? Oh, what was I going to say? That's how disappointed I am in them. There was a point to that, and I forgot already. come into contact with them, you know it's fake. It's just fake, people. It's just fake. It's all fake. I told that woman, you know, they're throwing it out of court with the evidence staring them in the face with everything that I submitted. I walked them through it, and they still ignored it. And then she goes on, well, it's common law. We base our stuff on common law, case law. I said, yeah, exactly. Case law has got to be the most fake fucking shit. Well, I didn't say that, but fake crap. Possibly ever even fathom it, right? In terms of all that is they just sit there, use somebody else's story, act like it's you that they're talking about, accuse you of this and accuse you of that, make their backroom deals and throw it out. Yeah, so they can go off and make it a systemic problem. Yeah, so that the other 100,000 people don't have a leg to stand on because there's not even one lawyer to help them. And that's basically it. So why put all this emphasis on something that's not real in terms of justice? What's another word for justice? I don't know. So basically she said maybe I should look up the Health Professional Act, which kind of relates to malpractice, because I said, is malpractice, does that fall under the Criminal Code of Canada? Because I want to read up on it, right? Okay, because she's convinced that my family doctor did not perpetrate malpractice on me. I'm more like just a systemic problem that he has the right to kick the can down the road and hope I get run over by a car. Okay, that's just fucking business as usual in the province of British Columbia, Canada, when it becomes systemic, kick the can down the road and hope it gets run over by a car. That's definitely not fucking malpractice. Who cares if she's blind? Who cares if she can't get this? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Okay. Anyway, the Health Professional Act. So somewhere in there, because I'm saying, well, because that's what she says. All we do is represent malpractice when it comes to adult injury. And there's at first she said it was a specific definition, and then when I asked her to explain what specific meant, then she said, well, it's more broad than that. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's the case, what act should I be maybe looking for so that I can familiarize myself with that? If need be, I'll print it out and I'll read it so that I can internalize what I'm reading to fully understand what rabbit hole it's going to lead me down into other acts. Because it's not just simply one act. And then, because that wasn't quite what I was looking for, because she already told me I wouldn't qualify because what happened to me is not the definition of malpractice. I'm like, okay, well, I know you're busy, right, and I do appreciate your time, but you got to give me something that I can hang on to, and right now that I'm fighting for me, they can't. Oh yeah, that's what it was going to say. They can't shut me up, people. They can't say, I'm sorry, Miss Chorney, you can't represent yourself because you're dead. But they can say that to my son. They can say that to anybody that wants to represent me after I'm dead. Too bad, she's dead. You have no right to represent that person. Go away. If you don't go away, we're throwing it out of court, we're going to fine you if you come back and try and fight for that person. Been there, done that. I'm coming back. There is no statute of limitation on murder. Okay? And as far as I'm concerned, 3 of my family members have been murdered in one way or another. Indirectly and directly. Through medical malpractice, medical negligence, breach of trust, and a whole lot of other things. But of course, no lawyer wants to talk about that because the problem is too systemic. Or, in my case, it's too complicated. But when it comes to me, it becomes too broad. It's either too small and complicated and not worth fighting for because we're just the sacrifice to the greater good of crooks, or it's too broad and too complicated because there's too many of us, so it's not worth fighting for. I feel like I'm already in court because that's what happens in court. Speak with forked tongue. And I'm not good at that because I'm an honest person. So, just, if you had to put your finger on something at the top of your head, just give me something to hang on to so that I'm not giving up on myself, but, you know, what act am I looking at if I file for myself? Because I'm not afraid to do that. I'm not afraid to go up against 2 billion slush fund. I'm not afraid to go up 10 fucking crooked fucking lawyers who think they're all big and bad, drinking fucking whiskey, smoking cigars. I don't care. Because as far as I'm concerned, they all got shit stains on their fucking shorts. Okay? I'm just saying. Get off your high shorts. And currently I am alive and I have a voice, so therefore the judge can't throw it back at me that I don't have a right to speak for myself, not to mention the rest of my family who are dead. Or, depending on who we're speaking about, alive. So she basically said Negligence Act, BC. I said, oh, there is such a thing called Negligence Act, BC. Never heard of it. Not that I go around looking for acts, right? But you remember the good old days, people. For the ones that have been watching my YouTube videos for a long, long time, I was getting good at it, right? I could rattle them off. I knew what section and where, right? Well, there is such a thing as called a Negligence Act, so maybe I might have to look up that, but it depends on what rabbit hole it takes you down. Because you know it's going to interconnect and weave itself into the Health Professional Act, which kind of relates to malpractice. To which malpractice, if you take it to a dictionary, is, I wouldn't say, like, leads to negligence, but, you know, it's comparable. Negligence and malpractice are comparable to each other in terms of the broader sense of what's occurring. Because both cause harm and injury. So right there, that merges the two acts together, which starts to blur everything together so that they can come in with their forked tongue and then bring in their case law, which has nothing to do with you, accuse you of this, accuse you of that, as they treat you like you're the person in that case law, just so they can throw it out and keep the status quo. And then play dumb when you call them for help. Unless, of course, you can fork out $50,000 up to at least at least $50,000, preferably at least $100,000. No. I was quoted, but that was years ago, so they probably want $100,000 now just to even be able to get the pen on the paper to begin filing a lawsuit. Other than that, you're hooped. And that's why they can't wait until you're dead, because that just makes it that much easier for those kind of individuals to continue doing what they do from family to family to family to family to family. And you know it's not happening to too many lawyer families, like lawyers with families. Oh, one or two might they might sacrifice one or two of their own kind just to keep the status quo, in terms of government, what they expect from lawyers in general, happy, right? Because if you get a lawyer that wants to rock the boat and go against the grain, well, yeah, they'll go out of their way to shut them down. That shit's already happening in the United States of America. But the thing about the United States of America is those lawyers down there, they fight for justice. They see it, they fight for it. It's just it's not like the good old days. Because so many people are paid off now. So anyway, I do appreciate that woman calling me back. Now that was just one law firm and I'd already dealt with them. And I think Susan knows. I'm sure the two women will talk, right? She'll be, oh yeah, that's Judy. You know how it is, right? You know, she's been through a lot. Just cut the girl some slack, but yeah, just forget about it. Move on. You won't even be thinking about her next year. She might not even be around. The problem will go away. That's how if I was talking to that woman, that's exactly what I say. You're just waiting for the day when I die and the problem goes away, because it's that simple just to walk away. I think that's what hurts me the most. It's very easy for these lawyers to find excuses. It doesn't matter what kind of lawyer, but at the end of the day, to find excuses to walk away from what their calling was. If your calling was to fight for justice and it's glaring you in the face and you can hear it and it makes you feel uncomfortable because your spidey senses know and can tell you intuitively that something is wrong in terms of the way my family's been treated, but you still have the audacity, the balls, the gall, whatever you want to say, to walk, just whatever, to walk away and ignore it and hope that the problem goes away, to which is like actually wishing death on me, because that's the only way the problem will go away. And even then, the problem doesn't go away because it's a systemic problem. So you normalize the act of ambush. It's just another act of ambush. That's all it is. Normalizing the act of ambush. But she's going to send me an email. I'm not in my Gmail. I'm on the ChorneyFamily channel on this computer. I'm on ShaMayChorney's channel on YouTube on this computer. And I can't go on to my channel, New Nations Unity, until I exit out of these. But I'm not doing that until I convert this over, upload it onto Shamay so I can exit out, upload it onto BitChute, and then I can log into, anyway. So yeah, I feel like I'm getting ready for court in terms of, well, I planned on gathering up the paperwork over the next couple of months and I don't know, organizing it. There's a couple of things I want to do that I'm going to have to try and do for myself in terms of getting my daughter's medical files. We'll start with Sierra's medical files from the Surrey Memorial Hospital, which will be probably about 15 boxes that thick. Yeah, that's quality healthcare for you. And then Shamay's and Sierra's medical files from my family doctor in the clinic. Yeah. I'm going to try and do that before I die, so my kids have it, even though I know that if I die, they won't be taken any more serious than me. And if they try and fight for me, the judge will just say, nope, doesn't matter, your mother's dead, you don't have a right to represent her. That's what lawyers and judges taught me. That's what the government has taught me, basically. That's what the justice system in British Columbia, Canada is all about. The faster you can die, the faster they can get rid of you and silence you, the faster they can go on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And when they're done, they just go find another group of victims to do it again and again and again. And when that group, that family's done with, then they go to another group and they do it again. And then eventually you get somebody talking to you, being kind enough to at least talk to you, and they just tell you it's a systemic problem and there's nothing they can do about it because the court doesn't recognize it for what it is. Because the court doesn't recognize it for what it is because they're too busy playing their case law. So, what a wing ding data. Oh shit. I didn't wake up this morning thinking to log into ShaMay stuff. Never mind getting some, what is that called? Satisfaction in terms of that ultrasound from a legitimate medical clinic, knowing what I know that everybody else wants to ignore and just say it's a systemic problem, so therefore it's okay to falsify medical records. So it's a systemic problem, so therefore it's okay to falsify medical records and just say that it's not malpractice, that it's just a systemic problem. You know. They're sending you to a mental health lawyer, and you can't even get long-term disability for being depressed, having no eyesight, nothing. I told her I put my application in for long-term disability. The eye specialist filled out the form, and the government's still refusing it because my family doctor won't fill it out because, you know, he's waiting for me to take him to court.